My wife always hated social media until she suddenly became addicted to it. One night, she left her laptop open, and curiosity got the best of me. I clicked on her messages and found hundreds of late-night conversations with a man she called her safe place. My hands trembled as I read her words, "I wish I had married you instead." The next day, I confronted her. But instead of apologizing, she just smiled and said, "I was hoping you'd find out." That's when I knew. My marriage was already over. My wife and I have been married for 15 years. I'll call her Sarah. I'm 43, she's 41. We live in a quiet suburb just outside of Columbus, Ohio. No kids, just us and our dog Max. I work in IT, and she works in healthcare admin. Life was normal. That's the word. Not perfect, not terrible. Just normal. Sarah has always hated social media. She said it was toxic. People faking their lives for likes, she'd tell me. She didn't even have a Facebook until a couple years ago, and even then, she barely touched it. Said it was just to keep up with family. So, imagine my surprise when, over the past 6 months, I started noticing her on her phone a lot more. I mean, a lot. At first it was subtle, quick checks in the evening, scrolling in bed. Then it got worse. She started turning the screen away when I walked by. Locking her phone more often. Laughing at stuff she wouldn't share. I asked once, "What's so funny?" She replied, "Oh, just a stupid meme." Cool. Whatever. But it kept happening. Over and over. I'd walk into the room and she'd suddenly close her laptop. I'd come home from work and find her quickly putting her phone face down. She was never like that before. Ever. Then there were the late nights. She used to go to bed around 10 p.m. like clockwork. Now she was up past midnight some nights, sitting in the living room, phone in hand, just glued to it. I started feeling it. That pit in your stomach. That itch in your brain. Something wasn't right. Last week, something happened. Something small, but it cracked everything open. She left her laptop open on the kitchen table. She went out back to water the plants, and for once, she didn't close the screen. I don't know what came over me. I swear I'm not the type to snoop. But that feeling in my gut just wouldn't shut up. I walked over. Her Facebook was open. Messenger was on the screen. The top conversation was with someone named Mike. Never heard of a Mike. Not one she ever mentioned. I clicked. What I saw, I can't even describe it. There were hundreds, literally hundreds, of messages going back months. Long, deep, emotional conversations. Not just small talk. These were intimate. They talked about their days, inside jokes, things from her past she never even told me about. And then I saw it. She said to him, "You make me feel like I'm finally home. I wish I had married you instead. You're my safe place." I just sat there, staring. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. This wasn't some online flirtation. This was full-blown emotional cheating. Maybe more. I didn't know yet. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. Max, our dog, came over and nudged my leg, like he knew something was wrong. I scrolled. They'd been talking late at night. She'd sent him selfies, ones she never sent to me. He called her my girl. She called him Mikey. Who was this guy? I didn't even have to dig. In one of the messages, she mentioned they reconnected after he commented on an old post she made about high school memories. He was a guy she dated briefly before she met me. Back when she lived in Cincinnati. I closed the laptop. My hands were sweating. I didn't know what to do. That night, I barely slept. I just laid there, pretending everything was normal. She was curled up next to me like nothing happened. Like she wasn't living a whole second life behind my back. The next morning, I waited until she was having coffee at the table. I sat down across from her and said quietly, I read your messages with Mike. She looked at me. Not shocked. Not scared. Just calm. Then, she smiled. She actually smiled. And she said, I was hoping you'd find out. I stared at her, stunned. What the hell does that mean? She looked down at her cup. It means I didn't know how to say it out loud. I felt stuck for a long time. Stuck? I asked. So you cheat instead of talk to me? It's not cheating, she said. I didn't sleep with him. Bullshit, I said. You told him you wish you married him. You called him your safe place. That's cheating. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. I don't love you the way I used to, she said. My ears were ringing. I felt sick. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said. But it did. And I don't regret it. That line hit me like a truck. She didn't regret it. I asked her, were you ever going to tell me? She shrugged. Maybe. I was waiting for the right time. What happens now? I asked. She didn't answer. I haven't told anyone yet. Not my parents. Not my friends. I've just been going to work, coming home, and existing. We're still in the same house. We're not talking. She stays in the guest room now. I haven't cried. I don't even know if I can. It's like my body is just numb. There's a part of me that wants to confront this Mike guy. Tell him what he's done. But another part of me knows that he's not the problem. She is. She let this happen. She opened that door and walked through it without looking back. I don't know what the next step is. I guess, divorce. But I'm not there yet. I don't even know how to start. I just keep thinking, how do you live with someone every day and not see this coming? How do you sleep next to someone for years while they slowly drift away and you don't feel it until it's too late? This is the worst pain I've ever felt. And I can't even scream. It's been 5 days since I confronted her. The house is quiet all the time now. Not peaceful quiet. Heavy quiet. Like the kind before a storm hits. We barely speak. She makes herself coffee in the morning. I make mine after she leaves. We move like ghosts around each other. Max just follows me, confused, tail down. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night. But then yesterday, something happened. I got home from work early. Traffic was light, and I figured maybe I could sit on the porch, get some air. When I pulled into the driveway, her car was already there. Weird. She usually gets home around 6. It was barely 4:15. I walked in the front door. No sign of her. No shoes by the mat. No keys in the bowl. But then I heard it. A man's voice. In the house. Coming from the living room. I stopped. Frozen. I heard her laugh. That same soft laugh I hadn't heard in months, the one she used to give me. The man said something I couldn't make out. She laughed again. I didn't even think. I walked straight to the living room. And there he was. Mike. I didn't need to ask. I knew. Tall, around my age, maybe a few years younger. Clean-shaven. Wearing a navy polo and jeans. He had his hand on her knee. She saw me and jumped like a kid caught sneaking out. He didn't move. I looked straight at him and said, "Get out of my house." He smirked, and said, "You must be Mark." I nearly lost it. My hands were clenched so tight I could feel my nails digging into my palm. Sarah stepped between us, her voice calm but firm. "Don't do this. You brought him into my house." I said, my voice low, trying to hold it together. "You brought him here." Mike stood up slowly, like he wanted to show me he wasn't scared. "Maybe it's time you accepted that this marriage is over," he said. I stepped forward, and Sarah grabbed my arm. "Stop," she said. "Please." I didn't swing. I didn't yell. But I looked at him and said, "If I ever see you in here again, I will call the cops." He walked out without a word. Sarah didn't speak. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands shaking. I looked at her and asked, "Were you ever planning to tell me that you brought him here?" She said nothing. So I said, "How long has this been physical?" She looked up at me slowly. Her eyes were glassy. But she didn't deny it. "A few weeks," she whispered. My chest felt like it was caving in. "You're still married to me," I said. "I know," she said. "But I don't know how to stop." That's when I knew. This wasn't about confusion. It wasn't about some emotional affair that went too far. She chose this. She chose him. Later that night, I packed a bag. Told her I needed space. I checked into a cheap hotel near Polaris Parkway. I couldn't stay there and breathe the same air as her. The next morning, I get a call. It's my brother Dave. I hadn't told him yet. I was trying to hold off until I had a plan. But he says, "Hey, man, are you okay? I saw something weird on Facebook." "What do you mean?" I asked. She posted a picture. With some guy. Said something about new beginnings. "Thought you two were fine." I checked. Sure enough, there it was. A picture of her and Mike. Smiling. Arms around each other. Caption, "Sometimes you find home in unexpected places." Hashtag fresh start. My phone almost fell out of my hand. She made it public. Not just cheating, broadcasting it. Our friends, my family, people from work, everyone could see it. I sat in my car, parked behind the hotel, heart pounding. I didn't even cry. I couldn't. It felt like I'd already lost everything. That night, I went back to the house to grab some more clothes. I planned to go in quick, get out fast. When I walked in, something felt off. The dining room light was on. Her purse was on the table. But she wasn't there. Then I heard noise from upstairs. At first, I thought it was her on a call. But the voices were muffled, two of them. Then I heard something crash. Followed by shouting. I ran up the stairs. Her bedroom door was half open. I saw her on the floor, crying. Mike standing over her, fists clenched, face red. I rushed in. Pushed him back hard. "Get the hell away from her." He staggered, caught himself, and sneered. "She lied to me too, man." "What?" "She said she wasn't married. Said she was separated. Found out she's still legally tied to you. And you're still living here." I looked at Sarah. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't mean for it to go like this," she kept saying. "I just wanted to feel alive again." Mike stormed out without another word. I didn't chase him. I didn't say anything to her. I just walked out, got in my car, and drove. I ended up sleeping in the parking lot of a Walmart in Westerville. Don't ask me why. So now, here I am. Sitting in a diner with a cold cup of coffee, writing this out like I'm talking to a stranger. My wife cheated. Lied. Invited another man into our house. Then posted him online like a prize. And now? That same man found out he was just a piece of her own lies. And I had to be there when it exploded. I feel like I'm in a movie I didn't audition for. I'm filing for divorce this week. I'm done. I think. But I'm also scared. Because part of me still remembers the woman I married. And that part of me can't understand how this all happened so fast. If you've made it this far, thanks for reading. I'll update when I figure out what the hell comes next. 3 days after the fight in the bedroom, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Mike. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Mark, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I think you should know, something about Sarah isn't right. She's not who you think she is. She's not who I thought she was. I don't know if she's told you about the money. Call me back. I didn't call him back. At first, I just assumed it was some attempt at manipulation. Drama. Maybe he wanted to justify his part in all of this. But money? That stuck in my head like a splinter. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept running back through everything. All the times over the last year Sarah told me not to worry about the finances. How she suddenly started doing all the bills on her own. How she said she'd handle the taxes this year. The next morning, I logged into our joint bank account. I hadn't looked closely in months. And I saw it. Several transfers. Thousands of dollars. Gone. But they weren't transfers to Mike, they were transfers to Sarah. Her separate account. Some weeks it was $300, others $800, even $1,200 at one point. And not just our checking. Our savings, too. The one we'd built for over a decade. Nearly drained. I checked the credit cards. 2 of them were nearly maxed out. Charges I'd never seen before, clothing boutiques, a spa resort up near Cleveland, dinner bills for 2. It wasn't just cheating. It was stealing. I felt cold. Like ice had filled my whole body. I called her. She answered after the 3rd ring, sounding groggy. I need to talk to you, I said. There was silence, then, about what? You took money from our accounts. I needed it. For what? To live. To feel like a person again. I wanted to scream. You drained our savings. That was for both of us. You don't understand what it's like to feel invisible, she said, voice calm, almost distant. You just work and sleep. You didn't see me anymore. So your answer was to lie? Cheat? Empty everything we built? It wasn't about the money, she said. It was never about the money. It was about finally doing something for me. That's when something inside me broke. I hung up. I started gathering every document I could find. Bank statements, tax returns, credit card bills. I called a lawyer. Told them everything. But the next day, I got another call. This time from Sarah's sister. She was crying. Mark, have you heard from her? No. Why? She's missing. She didn't show up to work. Her car's gone. She left a note for Mom. Something about needing to escape the noise. We don't know where she is. That same night, I got an email. From Sarah. Subject line, I'm sorry. No message in the body. Just one PDF attached. I opened it. It was a scanned copy of a receipt. A hotel check-in under a different name. A resort outside Asheville, North Carolina. I didn't know whether to feel relief or dread. What was she doing? Running away? Planning to disappear? I called the hotel. They confirmed someone checked in under that name. Alone. Paid in cash. I didn't know what to do. Call the police? Drive down there myself? Instead, I sat in the parking lot of a strip mall and cried for the first time in years. This isn't just about betrayal anymore. It's something deeper. Darker. And I don't know how far down it goes yet. But something tells me, the worst part of the story hasn't happened yet. It took me 3 days to decide whether or not to drive to Asheville. I didn't sleep. Didn't eat much either. I just sat, reading and rereading Sarah's email, trying to figure out what kind of game she was playing. Or maybe she wasn't playing anymore. Maybe she was just broken. Like I was. Finally, I got in the car and drove. 6 hours of silence. Max in the back seat, head resting on the armrest like he could feel it too, the weight, the confusion, the ache. When I got to the resort, it was early evening. The sun was setting behind the Blue Ridge Mountains, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. Families were outside, laughing, taking photos. It felt like a whole other world. I asked the front desk for the name on the receipt. The clerk looked uncomfortable. She said she wasn't supposed to give out that information, but I must have looked like hell because she hesitated, then quietly said, "Room 214. She hasn't checked out yet." I stood outside that door for a long time. My hand hovering near the handle. My heart racing. Then I knocked. The door opened after a few seconds. There she was. Hair tied up. No makeup. Wearing a plain hoodie and sweatpants. She looked tired. Not just physically. Like something inside her had burned out. "Mark," she said. Barely a whisper. We stood there for a moment in silence. "Can I come in?" She stepped aside. The room was small. Neat. A suitcase half-packed on the bed. An empty wine bottle on the nightstand. Her phone face down on the floor. "You ran," I said. I needed to think. "By draining our accounts and vanishing?" "I was going to leave a longer note," she said. But I knew if I explained too much, I wouldn't leave at all. I looked at her. Really looked. This wasn't the confident, sharp, pulled-together Sarah I married. This was someone lost. Torn up from the inside. "Tell me the truth," I said. "Everything." She sat on the bed. Took a deep breath. "It started with Mike, yes. But before that, I was already slipping. For years, I felt like I was standing in a room with no doors. I smiled at family dinners. I laughed at your jokes. But I felt nothing. Then he messaged me out of the blue one night, and I suddenly remembered what it felt like to be seen. "You could have told me," I said. "You should have." "I tried," she said, tears finally falling. "So many times. But every time I opened my mouth, you were busy. Or tired. Or brushing it off. That's not an excuse to lie. To steal." "I know," she said. "I know. That's why I ran. Because I didn't want to see your face when you finally saw who I really was." We sat in silence. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a manila folder. Inside were documents, the missing money traced, logged, everything accounted for. She'd even already signed the divorce papers. No fight. No alimony. Just, done. "I'm not going to drag you through a war," she said. "I already did enough damage." "Why now?" I asked. "Why give up Mike? Why leave him too?" She smiled bitterly. "He was just another illusion. The moment things got real, he turned ugly. I didn't love him. I loved the idea of him. Just like I used to love the idea of being free." I didn't say anything. What could I say? She stood up, walked to the window. "You didn't deserve any of this. You were kind. Loyal. Steady. But I needed chaos. And now I've got it." There was no yelling. No breaking dishes. Just pain, stretched out between us like a rope about to snap. "I forgive you," I said. She turned, shocked. "What?" I said I forgive you. Not because it didn't hurt. Not because I'm over it. But because holding on to this is going to kill me. She started sobbing. Like deep, shaking sobs. And I just stood there and let her cry. I didn't touch her. Didn't hold her. That part of us was gone. When she finally calmed down, I said, "This is the last time I'll see you. After this, we go our separate ways. Agreed?" She nodded. I left the room. Didn't look back. When I got back home, my brother Dave came by with pizza and a six-pack. He didn't say much. Just sat on the porch with me while Max chased squirrels. After a while, he said, "You did good, man. Most people would have burned everything down." I just shrugged. "I'm tired," I said. Not angry anymore. Just tired. He nodded. "You'll bounce back." "Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. It's been 6 months now. The house is mine again. Quiet, but not heavy. I see a therapist once a week. I cook more. I even started volunteering at the animal shelter on Saturdays. Sarah and I haven't spoken. Not even a text. But I heard from her sister that she's moved to a smaller town in Virginia. Working at a bookstore. Living alone. Sometimes I wonder if she thinks about me. If she regrets anything. I don't know. I probably never will. But here's what I do know, love doesn't always die in a blaze. Sometimes it fades so quietly, you don't even notice until you're standing in the ashes. I'm not sure if I'll ever fully trust someone again. But I'm learning to trust myself. And for now, that's enough.